What is up, everybody? This is Jeff from Free Photography Tutorials, and I'm very excited because this is the first photography tutorial that I am doing, and there will be many more to come. Today, for the first episode, I'm going to make it a little bit more simple of a video, and I'm going to go through what I carry whenever I go to a photo shoot, a wedding, or any other type of shoot that I'm doing, whether it's for photo or video. But before I dive into the video, I want to give a special thanks to Covenant Eyes for sponsoring this video. Covenant Eyes is about restoring human connection to help you live a life of freedom. Covenant Eyes is designed to help you and your loved ones live free from pornography. They have exceptional tech support, and they make it easy by giving one report for all devices. I have Covenant Eyes on my phone and all of my computers and devices, and it has helped me get free from my addiction and is helping tens of thousands of people get recovery. I would not have a sponsor for a company that I do not believe in, and I believe in Covenant Eyes and their mission fully. Check the link in the description for a free 30-day trial. When you sign up for Covenant Eyes, you just use code DREAMLOUD at checkout and you'll get 30 days for free. So I widened the shot a little bit just so you can see. The first thing I want to show you is my camera bag. This is a laptop and camera bag. It's got a couple of compartments. It's made by Zecti. Z-E-C-T-I. I can put a link in the description of this exact one. It has the laptop compartment in the front, and then in the back is where all my camera gear is stored. It's got a bunch of compartments. These are all customizable. You can actually take every compartment out of here and organize it any way you want, which is super helpful. And then next, I can't really show you this because I'm using it to record this video, but the camera that I use is a Sony a7 III. It's a mirrorless camera. I switched to Sony mirrorless cameras last April, I believe it was, and it was a great decision I made. Before I had a Canon 6D, but I made the switch to Sony. I was looking for a really reliable camera for photo and video, and this had great reviews. But I do love my Sony, and a couple of the business partners that I work with use Sony as well, so it's really cool when we shoot weddings. All of our equipment is interchangeable and we're able to work together. The second piece of equipment that I take with me to a wedding is probably the lens that I use more than anything. It's the Tamron 28-75 with a 2.8 f-stop. When I first got my Sony, I sold all my Canon gear, and I had gotten a 50mm and a 16-35 because at the time I was really hoping to do real estate photography, and I just didn't get into it like I thought I would, so I ended up selling both of those lenses a couple months ago, probably 6 or 7 months ago, and I got the 28-75 by Tamron. It's a really crisp and reliable lens. It's very comparable to the 24-70 that's made by Sony. I think it's a G Master lens. I watched a lot of comparisons side by side, and I'm really happy with this purchase. You're gonna get a little better quality with the G Master lens, but this one is pretty crisp and I'm happy with that purchase. Typically, whenever I shoot photography at a wedding, I'll also rent a lens. One lens I've used in the past and love in particular is the 70-200 made by Tamron. I had one for my Canon before, but once again, I sold all my gear. So when I shoot weddings, I'll typically rent an adapter and a lens so I can have that zoom capability for shooting down the aisle, things like that. When I'm typically filming a wedding, I'll usually only use my 28-70, but something to keep in mind with this video is all of this is equipment that has been great for me and it's been reliable for me, but everybody's preference on gear is different. For the next piece of gear, this is something I don't shoot a lot of video for weddings. I have a gimbal. It's made by Moza. This is the Moza Aircross. The Moza Aircross 2 is out now, but this one's been pretty reliable for me. And like I said, I don't shoot wedding video a lot, but this one has been extremely reliable. I also use another piece. I use this monopod, so I'm gonna put this together real quick and kind of show you my setup. The batteries to my gimbal are charging right now, but I think everybody gets what a gimbal is. But I also use this monopod on the end. You can just screw it on the bottom here. What it does is it gives more leverage whenever I'm trying to get a shot, like maybe if I'm trying to go really high on a shot and I want more leverage and I don't want my arm to get tired. Monopod I can actually extend pretty far. It kind of replicates a jib or a crane a little bit, especially at weddings. This is a nice piece of gear to have in addition to the gimbal. But for wedding video, I'll typically have my gimbal, the monopod, and my camera, obviously. Next is flash. I use the Godox V862S. That's just the serial number of this one. I have two of these that I bring to every wedding. And I also use this mag mod attachment. This rig right here has just really proven itself for weddings and events. This mag mod, it just really disperses the light. So this kind of just helps give an orb of light rather than it being harsh light. So it's really great for weddings and events, and you can use it for portraits as well if you put it on a stand. Speaking of stand, I picked up this little guy before I shot my last wedding in February. And essentially what it is, you can hook 2 flashes on here. So when I'm shooting the wedding party photos or any other type of photos indoors and I want to get a lot of light, I'll hook both of my flashes up on this, put it on a stand, and then I'll hook an umbrella through this little hole right here. They're powerful enough to where when I take the picture and they hit the umbrella, the light spreads really nicely, and it gives a nice even light through the whole image. Next up is this little guy. This is the wireless trigger for my flashes. I have them set up as A and B, so I can change the amount of light that goes to one flash over the other. If I'm shooting in the studio and I have a light in the front and a light in the back, I can change the amount of light that comes out of each of them. And this fires them both at once, which is pretty neat. This is great for shooting portraits when you have your lights on other stands, or at weddings. I'll usually put one stand in each corner of the dance floor, and it just really helps light up the whole room. Next is my tripod. It's sold at Best Buy, and I never see the mounts for them anywhere else other than Best Buy or on Amazon. It's more of a cheap tripod, but it does the trick for what I need. I don't need anything big or fancy. This one compacts really nice, and it just goes in the side of my camera bag, and it just works really well for me. The only other thing that I really bring to a photo shoot with me is my reflector. It's in storage right now, so I don't have it, but I just picked up a cheap one at my local camera store, and it helps with blocking out shadows for portraits, or if you're trying to bounce light, which that's what it does. And it's a little bit more advanced for beginners, so I won't really get into what that does or anything in this video. Maybe I'll cover that in another video soon. And the final and one of the most important things, which some people may disagree, but always bring extra batteries. I always have extra batteries for my flashes, for my camera, for my lights, anything else that I bring with me. I made the mistake once where I showed up to a photo shoot and my batteries were dead. Luckily, there was another photographer there that was able to lend me an extra battery, but never made that mistake again. I literally went right home and bought extra batteries for my camera. But having extra batteries is extremely important, especially when you're shooting weddings for video or photos. If you're gonna be using your camera all day, you definitely wanna make sure you have extra batteries just in case. So I wanted to keep this video pretty basic for it being the first one. I didn't wanna get too technical, but a lot of people have been asking me what kind of gear I use. I'll put links for every piece of gear that I mentioned for my setup, but as I stated before, you have to find what works best for you. The camera I have is a little bit more expensive, and I had to budget for it whenever I first got it because I knew it was going to be an expensive purchase. But the fact that I upgraded my camera really shows in the quality of images that I provide. But I hope everybody found this video interesting. I'm definitely going to be uploading at least bi-weekly these photography tutorials. So if you want to see certain topics covered, leave them in the comments below so that I can see what the people that are watching want covered. I'm going to be doing videos very soon on light trails, shooting photography outdoors, what to do in direct sunlight, things of that nature, things that I find that I specialize in and that I want to cover. But please let me know what videos that you want covered. But before I wrap up, a couple of plugs real quick. I dropped the very first episode of the Dream Loud podcast this week with my good friend Colton Jackson. You can find that on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts. And in the description, I'll also put links to my website and my Facebook page so that you all can connect with me. I'm excited that I now have the opportunity to be able to put the videos out there, like videos like this and podcasts. I've wanted to do it for a really long time, and I'm now finally able to put out the content that I really want to. But until next time, I'm Jeff with Free Photography Tutorials. We'll see you in the next one.